Welcome to today's podcast of Center of Leafs Nation. This is Pat LaRusso. I'll soon be joined by my two co-hosts, Anthony Sino and Blair Barton, as we look at the Maple Leafs, the rest of the North Division, and so much more. Welcome, everyone, to the latest podcast of Center of Leafs Nation. This is Pat LaRusso. I'm joined by my two co-hosts, Blair Barton and Anthony Sino. Gentlemen, how have you been enjoying these last few Maple Leafs games?
Incredible. Loving it.
It's been a journey.
Awesome stuff.
It has been. We're seeing things that we've never seen in this team. You know, and I made a comment that previous versions of with this group, at occasions like this, they probably would have taken their foot off the gas. There's no stop. Like, it doesn't matter if the score is completely out of, Vancouver's hands, but the Leafs just kept pressing and kept pressing. You know, they've scored 12 goals to Vancouver's 4 in the first two games of this, mini, interseason series. Like, there's just so much to talk about, even just this mini series and so many storylines to kind of cover. But, Blair, I'll kind of, throw it to you first. What has been your biggest thing that you've noticed, especially in this series more specifically, that maybe has stood out for you?
Well, so many things, obviously, like some fantastic individual play, by the obvious people and then some not so obvious. But the biggest thing for me, and especially even more so in the last 3 games, but even stretching out probably the last, 7 or 8 games, is that I have never seen in this team, maybe for small spurts, but is their 5-on-5 play. How they come back and close the gaps out defensively. And, I know they always talk about this on Overdrive, and you hear the O-Dog, he'll say stuff like, you have all these different coaches come in that are defensive coaches. You have Babcock, you have Carlisle, you have Ron Wilson, and Paul Maurice come in, and this team can't check. They can't back check. They can't work as a 5-man unit. But that's the thing for me, is that Sheldon Keefe, has them playing as a 5-man unit. The breakouts they're starting to get, I like how they hang on to the puck rather than just dump it in to go for the change. They're really starting to get that down, which, was something that I noticed last year. They were trying to work on, but it wasn't seamless. They've got it going on right now. That's it for me. I think, other than the obvious of, Matthews just being an absolute monster, the Wayne train, Wayne Simmons, my new favorite Leaf, playing like he's 25 again. Other than that, it's the 5-on-5 play. It's got to be.
And for yourself, Anthony?
So a lot of things that I do agree with that Blair said is I would say that this team is definitely checking more, tracking pucks down on the back check, and playing more below the puck. However, something that I might tend to disagree on with Blair there is that I think that the eye test would suggest that their 5-on-5 play has been a lot better, and my long-winded answer of this is they have taken a hit at 5-on-5 in terms of their numbers, whether it be expected goals or their kind of like their high danger shot chances but what I do notice is that the things that they are doing are not even showing up in the underlying metrics. And I think how eventually this team will get evaluated is on their wins and losses. And I think it's been a very interesting exercise in my brain, because for years we've been doing this for a while now. How many times have we said, okay, this team's not maybe getting the points, but how many pundits on Twitter you go and read, the countless fans that could never say anything bad about the team, they're saying, oh well, Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner, they were a minus tonight, but like look at their expected goals numbers, or look at their shot generation, their high danger shot generations. Like everyone was constantly using analytics to defend this team, and ultimately, where did it get us? That's a rhetorical question. It got us nowhere, right? It got it like absolutely nowhere. So I, as someone who is a card carrying fan of what the underlying numbers are saying, I am not here for the arguments that to say, well, this team's success is not sustainable, because the things that they're doing, the attitude around this team, the morale around this team, something is different about this team, right? And it's not showing up on the metrics. But what are they doing? They're winning games. They're playing for each other. Look at what like it to me. It's something that needs to stop. Is that people are always trying to prove that they're the smartest person on Twitter, and it just leads to unnecessary bickering. Like the team's winning, guys. Let's just enjoy it. We haven't had a winning team in 54 years now. Like just enjoy the ride, guys.
I think, and it's funny because I've heard this, and I wonder if because of the losing, there's this quick deflection from Leaf fans, because we were so used to being, everyone's punching bag, 1967 and yada yada yada, that even Leaf fans can't accept how good this team is. Like I'm seeing Leaf fans mention things like, oh, look at the schedule, or they're playing AHL players, or what was the last? Oh, I even had a gentleman, and we were discussing this offline. I had someone speak of how like the 1980s teams had all this heart and were better than this edition of the team, and it's like, what are we doing to ourselves? Like, have we stopped valuing what is important in the game of hockey? When did we devalue wins and losses? Or when did we devalue our most talented players that, Austin Matthews is leading the league, in goals, and, people are still asking, where's the heart? Where's the fight? It's just like, what more can this guy produce, for us to just exhale and just enjoy what we're watching? And that was like my biggest takeaway, is the reaction from fans after every win. And it boggles my mind, some of the narratives that people are creating just to defend their own insecurities, or I'm happy with this team. If someone says 1967, well, you know what, we learned from it. We drafted better, we traded better, we improved our scouting, we got better coaches, we got a younger general manager that can see, that plays chess, not checkers. There's so many things to like about this team at every level. Let's just enjoy it.
Yeah, I can't agree more, Pat. And it's funny that you say that. I think there is this culture of skepticism among certain Leaf fans. It's just like, I know Leaf fans. I'll talk to them, and before the game even starts, I'll be getting negative messages about the game and stuff like that, and oh, let's see how they're going to do this, or they only always trade away all their best players. When I have these conversations, it's like, why bother being a fan if you're just gonna?
Yeah.
I get being disgruntled after all these years, but this is a different team. For me, I try to break it down into eras, like of who was the Quinn era, the Burns era. That's how I see it. And then this is the Dubas era, and he's on the clock as far as I'm concerned, from the moment that Sheldon Keefe was announced as head coach. But so that's my thoughts on that. One thing I did want to touch on, that I think is a big change in this team. I think it was, people compare Toronto and Tampa together a lot. I think the Leafs getting dismissed in the 5-game series against Columbus in the summer was watching Tampa win the Cup with skilled players like them, a high octane offense, but because the Leafs are digging in the corners. Matthews digging in the corners to get the pucks out. they're fighting to get the pucks out, and that's the big difference between what Tampa did this year and the past the playoffs that just went by, that they have never done before.
Yeah.
And I think Toronto learned a lot from that, because watching them play and watching them dig out and their star guys, commit to playing that style to get the puck. To me, I think that's something you're not going to see too much of measured. To Anthony's point on the stats or the analytics is
No.
how hard. And I think this will translate better into playoff hockey when that time comes.
And speaking of intangibles, Anthony, and you brought this up, and it actually became like this viral tweet. But did everyone see the tweet or the post on just after Saturday's game, where it was the first image was of Austin Matthews scoring a goal, and then the second image right beside it was how happy he was for Wayne Simmons? Those intangibles, when your best players celebrate their teammates' successes, that bleeds into every other aspect of the game.
Or especially for the hat trick, to see the reaction.
Yeah, like it's just
Right.
watching this team gel. I think Dubas, when he went out and brought in Joe Thornton and brought in Wayne Simmons, we looked at it as, what, they're bringing in this leadership, they're bringing in this grit. But to watch those two more specifically, and even, Father Spezza, like watching these three veterans get embraced by this young group, you can tell that everyone is now picking up on just how important this opportunity is as a group. And I think something special is happening in that locker room that will never show up on a stat sheet, but it's showing up indirectly in the wins and losses that we're seeing so far.
I completely agree, Pat. And I think I said this on the last time I was on, so maybe 2 podcasts ago. And I keep referencing it. I'm beating a dead horse here, but when those Leaf Blueprint things, those kind of behind the scenes documentaries, and I really find it funny how it always seems like now the last 2 coaches, I personally found the things that Babcock would have these one-liners that it always kind of motivated me in a way, and it was more blinding to the fact of the greater problems. Again, not going to get into those things, but he would say things that would kind of just captivate me as a fan. And now I'm finding that Keefe is saying saying things that are also very, very captivating to watch as a fan. And I can only imagine being a player in that locker room and listening to that every day. And one thing that he really stood out, that he said that really stood out to me was, it's not just about showing up and being the best that you can be. It's about noticing when somebody else needs a lifting up, and let's help that guy become the best player that he can be. So a lot of things that are intertwined in that comment there, and a lot of things that we as fans from the outside can see. One example, the resurgence of Wayne Simmons, the hat trick that Jason Spezza gets, and you can see that bench just jump up in excitement. The goal that Jumbo scored back in Ottawa. Bogosian, there was a few games ago, there was a tweet that had the bench mic'd up. Bogosian blocked a shot and iced the puck on a key penalty kill at the end of the game. I think it was in Calgary. And you hear someone say, I think they said like effing right, deuces, right? And you can see it, guys. Like we heard it all last year on Overdrive. Blair, you mentioned that show earlier. I think it's one of the best shows in Toronto, by the way. Ray Ferraro constantly on his daily hit. The Leafs had the quietest bench in the league. Quietest bench in the league. Yeah. That's not the case anymore, guys.
No.
And we're seeing this team become, like, you're just seeing the development of the team and however what's the word that I'm looking for? It might sound cheesy and typical Leafs, already planning the parade, but I really truly believe that we're watching something special, like right before our eyes. And the only reason why I'm saying it is I don't want, God willing, they do the thing. and they take that silver thing home. And we don't appreciate going back to this moment and saying like, wow, that's when I knew it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think we got to appreciate every game. We see these little moments. Don't live and die with every win and loss, because it's not healthy that way mentally. But just appreciate the moments that we're talking about here and seeing the development of something that, you know what, like, if they do it, we're gonna look back on these things and say like, that's a moment again.
Yeah,
That's
there's those
another moment.
those little shots of what the future might look like is what we're seeing literally on a game by game, shift by shift, play by play basis. And that actually takes us to some unfortunate news in Leafland.
Yeah.
You know, the injuries are now starting to pile up. You know, a couple weeks ago it was Nick Robertson and Joe Thornton. You know, now it's Travis Dermott, and sadly the Wayne Simmons, you know, has an upper body injury, out for 6 weeks. Kind of want to get your gentleman's take on, you know, who do you think is the next man up to kind of help the Leafs get over this little bump? And, you know, sort of what are your thoughts on, you know, the thoughts that Joe Thornton and or Nick Robertson might be back in the lineup as of late next week?
Yeah, I think. I mean, yeah, I was raving about the Wayne train heading into last game, and I was texting everybody my favorite new Leaf, and you know I always love watching him play, and I think he's just been absolutely incredible. And you know, this could be a little bit of a blessing. He plays hard. He's a bit worn. You know, it might not be a bad thing for him to get 6 weeks in, get some bike time in, and come back rejuvenated and you know rested for the playoffs. But as far as next man up goes, I really think Ilya Mikheyev is on the verge of breaking out. He has been absolutely amazing all season long. Like his speed has really kicked like a gear I've never seen from him before. And I know he's going to be getting a turn on the second power play unit tonight. I think he's somebody that's just raring to break out, and I think he could step in. I'm not sure who they're gonna. I know that they had Thornton on that line today, but he's not eligible to come off. But I think he's somebody that certainly will take advantage of this opportunity. And yeah, I can't wait to see Nick Robertson play to get a good sample size of his play. And I can't wait for Joe to come back. Love me some Joe Thornton.
Yeah, I agree with you, Blair. I think it's time for Ilya Mikheyev to start putting some points up. Frankly, he's doing a lot of the little things right. It's just the guy can't buy something. And look, quite honestly, I don't think he has the talent to score, to be like a traditional third line top, maybe middle six forward in terms of scoring. When you look at the end of the year, you're never going to see Ilya Mikheyev with 50 points over an 82 game season or anything like that, or even 40 points. But I think, again, a real element that we could, when we know that if this team's got it, it's next man up mentality, right? Yeah. If one goes down, the next guy's got to step up, and he finds his way, right? Maybe it takes putting Mikheyev on a line with Tavares, Matthews, and Marner for maybe not for a full game, but you give him half the game, and you just you're gonna play with the two big boys. Go out there and score. Get this guy a goal, right? Get him to get the monkey off his back, and just really just find that confidence again, where you're not squeezing the stick a little too tight now. And maybe if Mikheyev could find some success there, maybe you can drop Hyman down, who I'm now nicknaming the line fixer. And if you put him with Tavares and Nylander at 5-on-5, you can get those two going 5-on-5, because those guys I think can improve a lot at full strength. So sorry, at even.
Yeah, it's been Ilya Mikheyev does seem like
going.
Oh, sorry there, Anthony. Yet we had lost you for a sec.
Oh, sorry. Am I back?
Yeah, you're back. Yeah, Ilya Mikheyev definitely seems like a guy that was snake bitten He's hit crossbars, hits posts. Like guys have just, made some pretty amazing saves on him. I still wonder how much of it is him coming back and getting adjusted to, that wrist injury. He didn't really seem to be himself when he did come back in that 5-game play-in series. And there really wasn't like a proper training camp to get him ramped back up again. So I know some people might see that as an excuse, but I think for players that, especially for him that was just getting himself acclimatized, still learning the language, there's a lot of things that happen that we lose out on. And here's hoping that he can get back going. So but I'll send this off to you because it looks like we've lost Anthony. Hopefully he'll make his way back in. But I did want to, as we wrap up this podcast, touch on, one interesting piece of potential Leafs history that could happen is, only two players in Maple Leafs history has ever scored in 8 straight games in 76 years. And we could be looking at Austin Matthews, entering into that very, very small group. I would like to get your thoughts on, his start and some of the things that you've noticed that have been different in previous seasons for him.
Oh man, this guy just doesn't stop impressing. He's easily the best natural goal scorer that's ever worn the Maple Leaf uniform. I don't think that's up for debate. People want to debate. I mean, we got great Leafs: Matt Sundin, Alex McGillney, Wendell Clark. We know that Austin Matthews is a generational player. He's in a different league than those guys. Biggest thing I think that has had an effect on Matthews, other than to play against, but he's also, they're looking for each other out there. It seems like the two of them out there, and this is their first full season together. I know, Keefe ended up putting them together, and Babs gave them, some spot duty together, but they're just looking for each other out there, and then that allows Hyman to just create a space, dig out the pucks, and get them the pucks back. But they're just one of the most dynamic duos in the NHL, and having one of the best passers in the league distribute to the best finisher in the league. In my mind, the undisputed best finisher in the league is Austin Matthews, and between the two of them, Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews, I think we could see this streak double up.
No, most definitely. And Anthony, we were just mentioning, the potential for Austin Matthews to enter into a very exclusive club in Maple Leafs history, being only the 3rd player to score in 8 straight games. Kind of want to get your thoughts on, his potential, being part of that group, and what you've noticed that's been different in this year's start than in previous seasons.
Sorry guys that I cut out there for a second, so I'll apologize for my poor internet connection. But basically, Austin Matthews, and I'll reference Overdrive again. I was listening to it before we recorded tonight. Jeff O'Neill said it best. It is okay to talk about how good Austin Matthews is. It seems like it's taboo in this city, right? It feels like you're not allowed to say how good he is, because the other fan bases are going to be like, oh, typical Toronto, right? Inflating their guys' value, talking about how everything in Toronto is so good. The 3rd line winger has a deal with Campbell's Soup. The 4th line winger, apologies, that's my water bottle. The 4th line winger has got a deal with Chevrolet Markham. All these things, and it's just typical Toronto fan base boosting up their guy. Here are the facts, guys. This guy, since he has entered the league, is unquestionably, and I am including Alexander Ovechkin in this conversation, he is the best 5-on-5 goal scorer on the planet.
Oh. He
is playing a more well-rounded game. he has Selke guys. The guy is telling the media he has Selke aspirations, and he is leading the NHL in goals too, right? So this guy's just an unquestionably all world talent, and I think that he is in the Art Ross conversation. And yes, I don't care that Connor McDavid has 26 points in 13 games or something. We have to evaluate the exact stats, and the 5-on-5 stats say that Auston Matthews is one of the best players in the game. If he was getting those power play opportunities, he would definitely have the numbers that we're talking about with McDavid and with Draisaitl. I think we really need to normalize the fact that when our players are playing good and they are putting up the numbers that they're doing, it's okay to say that this guy's got a chance at being called the MVP of the league, right? So I think he's playing that good, but I also think that Mitch Marner deserves a lot of credit as well. I'm not sure if that's been touched on yet, but look, Marner. I think he's been very quiet at 5-on-5, but he looks quiet. And then you look at the box score, and you look at his numbers, right? Even his underlying metrics at the end of the game, and you're like, holy crap, he had a good night. You know what I mean? So he's been quietly dominant that way, and really, isn't that his job? Right? Just be quiet, make those nice passes. You don't got to be that flashy all the time. Get 34 the puck, have him rip it under the bar, and we'll just take our 2 points and we'll go home again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, most definitely. I think it's, I know we were hard on Marner last year because there was always that ask of you can do better. And the same thing could have applied to Auston Matthews too. I think, we asked him to play, a more well-rounded game, play, go in the corner, start digging out the puck, start making your own plays. Like, you can't be reliant on, Hyman to always be there and do that for you. And here we are.
Using your size, sorry to interrupt, but using your size, 6'4", 215 or whatever he's playing at right now.
Yeah,
once he starts using his size.
He lost some weight though.
Yeah, but he seems faster.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
He seems to have gained a step or two, and it really makes me wonder. And I brought this up in a debate on the weekend, because a Leaf fan said that Auston didn't have a lot of heart. He didn't really put too much into his craft, and I'm like, he trained with undoubtedly the best player on the planet, Connor McDavid, all summer. What they could have learned and what they bounced off each other is immeasurable, but we're starting to see it. Like that one play, I forget which Vancouver player it was, where he put the puck through him, skated around him, and then potted the shot. Like, we're seeing new elements to Matthews' game that we never saw before. We knew his shot was deadly. You put the puck on his stick, it was going in. Like, he can find those little holes, bar down, where there would be literally just enough room for the puck to go in. He found it. He would find those spots every time.
The roof would have blown off that building if there were fans in the stands. That's a goal there. That's a goal there where I look like, man, if you had 18,000 people in the stands there, it would have just blew up. That goal was just disgusting.
It was beautiful. And it's something that we're seeing an additional element to his game that I think come in the high pressure times like the playoffs will serve him well.
When somebody tells you somebody like an Auston Matthews doesn't work hard, that's just a shortcut to thinking. Because how do you become so good at what you do and become the best in the world at it without even a doubt in a non-traditional hockey market, playing against, his whole life playing against subpar players? And to walk in the NHL, score 4 goals his first game, and to do nothing but continue to score goals at 5-on-5, and he doesn't work hard. Tell your buddy to shut up.
Yeah, it brought like I said, it brought out some pretty fierce debate. But once again, it speaks to what we all discussed right at the top of this podcast was there's an insecurity about this fan base that we're afraid to appreciate when things are going well. And it bleeds into a lot of the comments that you see. But you'll never hear a bad thing come out of my mouth when it comes to Auston Matthews. I think we're still only seeing the tip of the iceberg. It has been a great chat this evening, gentlemen. Do you guys have any final closing thoughts as we, as we wrap up this latest podcast?
Score predictors, guys. It's got to become a tradition when we record on a game night.
Oh
What do we
yeah.
got?
I got mine ready to go. I got
All right, Blair, fire away.
I think Vancouver's going to bring their A game tonight. I think the Leafs are going to be a bit sleepy on them. I think the Leafs are going to win 5-2, and I think that I think Mikheyev's going to pop 2 tonight. 1 on the power play, 1 shorthanded.
Oh wow, you're even putting names to these goals, Blair. Love it. Love the confidence.
Call myself.
And
All right,
what's your prediction?
So I'll go 6-2. 6-2. Matthews, Patrick.
Ooh.
Marner 3 points. And I got Jimmy VC to score 1. Just a dirty one.
Yeah. Let's give one to Jimmy, get him going again, right?
Yeah, I know, right? Just since we're giving him out like Oprah.
Yeah.
Team Jimmy.
I'm going to have to go with Blair's line of thinking. And I really do think that Vancouver's going to give the Leafs a little bit of a pushback tonight. I think the score is going to be a little bit closer. I have it at 4-2 Toronto, with Austin Matthews getting a goal to reach that franchise milestone. And I see Zach Hyman getting one as well. And little Mitchie Marner getting 1 goal and assist tonight as well. And hopefully another dirty goal from our fourth line to give us the fourth Leaf goal in my prediction.
Can't believe we didn't even mention Spezza's hat trick or that shot that he's got going.
Yeah, so we'll have to see that for another podcast. Gentlemen, It has been a pleasure as always. To all our listeners, we can now be found on Amazon Music, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and frankly, anywhere you listen to your favorite podcasts. Thanks, everyone. Bye.